So I know that you guys have been following the latest chapters of One Piece, specifically Big Mom, and judging based on the comments and the discussion around the chapter, it seems as though after nearly 3 years of working at it, I'm finally part of the majority. I think that the majority do believe that this is setting up Big Mom becoming an ally. Now, as with all things, there is no just outright consensus. Not 100% of the people do not all believe the same thing, and of course there's a possibility that the majority are wrong. But it feels pretty good. I mean, it's been a journey, guys. It really has been a journey. From when I first sort of made the theories popular, I think that they were very persuasive theories. And then we got into Whole Cake Island itself, and a lot of people fell off. And then it sort of devolved into hate comments and people questioning my intelligence. Appreciate you guys, by the way. Side note, anywhere I go on the internet where there are One Piece fans, I always get those snide remarks. Oh, JB, how did that Big Mom for ally theory go? Yep. But yeah, guys, with the recent events and Big Mom, I think it's finally time again to open up that can and really talk a lot about Big Mom, because she is just as interesting as she was back at Whole Cake Island. Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, I'm assuming that everybody here has read the very latest chapter, at least the latest chapter right now, of One Piece chapter 931. And so in that chapter, guys, Big Mom arrives to the shores of Wano, and she has amnesia. She no longer even knows who she is. And so we talked about this in the first reaction. I don't know exactly how I feel about the amnesia itself, but I feel very strongly that the future of this story looks great as far as Big Mom goes, and our enjoyment. So I initially envisioned this to be an all-encompassing video talking about all of my thoughts about Big Mom, trying to include it all. But what I thought initially might be a 20-minute video became a 30-minute video, became a 40-minute video, and then by the time I was at 30, this video is going to end up being an hour and a half. So I've decided to cut this into parts for my own sanity's sake. In this first part, I really just want to discuss why it is that I always thought that Big Mom was going to be an ally, and even as it looked almost impossible, I continued to argue and advocate for the idea. To some, I think that this is going to come off as a little bit self-serving, and maybe it is, but I really do want to explain my side of this and give you sort of my baseline reasoning, sort of justifying it from the very beginning, without any amnesia plot devices to help me. But let's start at the beginning. Why is this a discussion to begin with? This all goes back to Lola in the Thriller Bark arc, before we even knew who Big Mom was, or that she was Lola's mother. Lola told us that if ever the Strats were in need of assistance, in need of help, they should call upon her mom. And then she gave the Strats, which would later be revealed to be Big Mom's Vivre card. What was so interesting to me about this moment is that we actually got to meet Big Mom before it was confirmed that Big Mom was Lola's mother. And Big Mom was nothing like Lola suggested her to be. Almost the first thing that Big Mom does in the story is challenge and declare war upon the Straw Hats. All the while in Fishman Island, it was heavily suggested that she was eating people alive, destroying islands for the sake of candy. The Big Mom that we met first seemed to be a ruthless, tyrannical, evil dictator of her own little world that the Strats would definitely need to at some point defeat. Not in any way somebody who was motherly or that likely was going to help them at any point in the story. And this from the beginning was very interesting to me. Now, to sort of take ourselves out of the story, JB, when Big Mom was like this, and even as we got to see her in Whole Cake Island, how could you continue to believe that Big Mom could be an ally? She is far too wrong, far too evil. And a big part of this for me is just good storytelling. From the very beginning, Oda went out of his way to create two separate Big Moms. The Big Mom foreshadowed by Lola and Big Mom herself. And they never really seemed to equal each other. And so it was always a question in my mind is, why did Lola, who eventually became a friend of the Strats, didn't want to lead them into any sort of danger, why would she recommend asking for the help of Big Mom and specifically leading them to her? What is the difference between Lola's understanding of Big Mom and ours? In my estimation, when it comes to the crew of pirates, typically they reflect their leader. Now there are obviously some discrepancies here or there, but generally they know their captain the best. They would, in nearly every case, have to be okay with whatever it is that their captain is doing, and specifically be sent on missions by their captain to accomplish whatever goals they might have, in whatever way is the right way for them. And so you might say, and I know many people have, well, Lola was just that dumb. But it was always my opinion that we should trust Lola more than we should trust what Oda is trying to tell us. I personally think that we gathered enough from Lola in Thriller Bark to know that she would not be okay with her captain eating people alive. But Oda seemed to be trying to tell us that that was the case. Lola also seems to be completely fine with Big Mom nuking islands that don't procure the candy that she desires. That's interesting. And she at the very least believes that Big Mom loves her children enough to help their friends. If Lola believes in Big Mom, is a fan of Big Mom, if she loves her mother and would specifically lead her friends to her, then that means a lot to me. So how exactly do we explain the two Big Moms being created? And so for me, whenever I see this in the story, my first thought is that a plot twist is incoming. One of these is right, and one of these is wrong. The author will try to sell one truth until at the very end he flips it to the other, which has been subtly hinted at. And so yeah, which one is the bait and which one is real? A lot of people I think believe that the real Big Mom was the evil antagonist based on everything that we got in Whole Cake Island, and beforehand in Fishman Island. But I never thought that that was good writing. In my opinion, if that was going to be the case, Oda screwed it up very, very early. A 101 for writing plot twists in the story is to sell, absolutely sell whatever it is that is not the truth. And yeah, it's very obvious that Oda understands this. Think back to the Water 7 arc, where we didn't know initially, but we learned later that the Galley Law members, several of them in Blueno, were secretly CP9 agents. A great plot twist surprises us, but after it occurs, we think back, and things begin to make sense. Just before CP9 revealed their identities, Oda made it appear as though most of them had died. So as you are reading or watching the arc way back in the day, it's becoming very, very apparent that whoever these Cypherpole agents are about to be revealed. You are already curious about their identities. Why is Oda making them wear masks? Do we already know who it is? Should we check down the list of characters that we know from Water 7? Is it possibly one of these individuals? And even as your mind turns to possibly the correct suspects, maybe Lucci or Kaku, right before it's revealed, Oda tells you that they are dead, until they are revealed to be the CP9 agents. It was an excellent plot twist. Sleight of hand and deception at its best. But in the case of a plot twist that Big Mom is in fact an enemy, Oda failed miserably, immediately. He never really ever sold her to be an ally, even though he had ample opportunity to attempt to do that. When we as readers and the characters in the story themselves finally became aware, for sure, that Big Mom was Lola's mother and that they had her Vivre card, their initial thought was, I don't know if this will work. Because they already knew enough about Big Mom to doubt it. And that's what Oda intended. He never wanted us to believe that Big Mom would become an ally. He thwarted his own plot twist. And this was probably the biggest reason why, despite whatever happened in the story, I always believed that she would become one. Call it backwards logic if you like. Oda is too good of a storyteller to waste time with a scene like that in the story if it's never going to be relevant. Ask yourself, what is the relevance of Lola telling the Strats that they can ask their mother for help when they never used the Vivre card to track her down, and never in any way asked for her assistance, or intimated that that was their objective? What exactly is the point of establishing Lola as so stupid that she would send her friends to their death? Why not just have Lola warn the Strats about her mother and give her the Vivre card as some sort of defense if ever they encounter her? I just never saw it, guys. Wasted if it was not some kind of foreshadowing. So I see a lot of people say this from time to time, and they are completely right. When it comes to the Big Mom for ally theories and almost every single thing that I say regarding this, I work from the conclusion, Big Mom as an ally, and I work backwards. How do we make sense of this new information, given in the future it's likely, I think, that Big Mom will be an ally? How do we rationalize this? How do we make this work? And I think that this was just another thing which disconnected me from the fan base in general. Because with the conclusion sort of set in stone, that Oda is intending on creating a plot twist, which is why there might be two separate Big Moms created, then I would expect Oda, just as I said before, to absolutely sell her as an enemy, and force us to believe that. And I suspected that it would likely get rough for me to continue to argue that, especially my perception from other people who may be watching my videos, because depending on the steps that Oda takes might make me look really ridiculous. For instance, if I had tried to argue that Lucci or Kaku were secretly the CP9 agents, and then you had that scene just before the plot twist was revealed in which they were dead, if I continued to argue that they were the CP9 agents, you know what that reaction would be. But at the same time, you would have been right. This is just another thing that I think that a lot of people would perceive as sort of backwards logic. No matter how difficult it would be to continue arguing, no matter how bad it looked, it doesn't really change my perspective. Because I was expecting a good plot twist. But to be frank with you guys, even I have my own limits. If throughout Whole Cake Island, there was absolutely nothing which added to the headcanon or the belief that one day Big Mom might fulfill Lolo's words, even I would have my difficulty continuing to stay on the train reasonably. And I was probably more biased than anybody. But I found that throughout Whole Cake Island, there was a ton of very subtle information which corroborated where I thought that the story was gonna go. Again, guys, when it comes to a good plot twist, you absolutely sell one thing before switching it at the end, but at the same time, you need to low-key foreshadow the alternate possibility so that when the reveal happens, it doesn't feel like an ass pull. It feels like something that, after the truth is revealed, okay, this makes sense. And so the very beginning of this, guys, is that the Big Mom revealed in Fishman Island was as bad as Big Mom ever was. And so after that, throughout Whole Cake Island, the real Big Mom in every corner was revealed to be better than that. Oda made a point of trying to tell us that Big Mom was eating people alive. This is the antagonist that we are dealing with, the Yonko Big Mom. At no point is she going to be a friend. But wait, we get to Whole Cake Island, she's not actually eating people alive, they are animated sweets. But JB, at the very beginning of Whole Cake Island, she kills her own son. Literally sucks the life out of him because she just wants this stupid dessert. No way, she's not actually in her right mind in this state, nor is she aware of anything that she is doing, and has no memory of it afterwards. So obviously there are other examples here, and there are also additional things that she does that we still would need to explain. But the broad strokes here, the generalities here, is that Oda, pretty consistently, has found ways to make Big Mom less intimidating and less evil than she could be otherwise, and that he originally made us think. That to me is purposeful. That to me is a bit unnatural when it comes to Oda's style. Typically, as we get to better know an antagonist, we find more reason to need to defeat them, not less. But although I might have done this in the past, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that Big Mom is perfect, because she's not. And I feel as though this is a huge hang-up whenever the idea of Big Mom being a friend of the Straw Hats is brought up. But, Big Mom can't be a friend. Look at all of the things that we know that she's done. And no matter how hard you try to justify or explain this, these still make her a bad person. JB, I don't care if Big Mom destroys islands for a reason, because they don't fulfill whatever agreement that they have made with her. That is why they're destroyed. Destroying an island makes her evil, and Luffy needs to defeat her. People tell me that I cherry pick certain things in order to sort of justify my stance, but I kind of think the same of people who say this, because throughout the story of all the friends that these Straw Hats have accumulated that are pirates, very, very few of them are perfect, and in a classical way, most would be defined as evil. Again, there are a ton of examples here, but I really only need one name to make my point: Boa Hancock. Boa is just as bad as Big Mom. And Luffy didn't need to defeat her, at least not in a physical way. And to this day, Boa and Luffy are friends. More than anything, I think that Luffy needed to change her heart and change some of her perspectives. And I do think that something similar needs to occur with Big Mom. And just the same as Boa Hancock, I think that Big Mom's past needs to be brought up and resolved. But talking about Big Mom's past and her inherent nature, I think is really relevant when you're talking about where we started off with Big Mom as an antagonist and where we left off with Big Mom as an antagonist by the end of Whole Cake Island. Big Mom is perhaps one of the most broken characters, broken emotionally, in the One Piece story. I think that we got to see her true nature as she was a child in Elbaf, and later with Mother Carmel and the orphans on what eventually became Whole Cake Island. Big Mom is a good person, or was a good person. As with most things regarding Big Mom, the lines are blurred here or there, and she is maybe even overly complex. And definitely misunderstood, not only to the people reading the story, but to the characters within the story itself. But yeah, I really do think that the flashback during the Tea Party really told us everything that we needed to know about who Big Mom really is. She caused all sorts of mayhem and destruction, and did it very much unintentionally. Her intentions have always been good, even to this day. Some of the examples are really illuminating, like ripping off the fins of a fishman and trying to rip off the joints from the arms of a long arm. She didn't do those things from any malicious intent, she just saw those as abnormalities, and by removing them, perhaps fixing them, making them better. She wants to be helpful, and it was established even as a child, she just wanted people to get along. This was another great example. She saw a bear and a wolf fighting in the woods, and knew that fighting was not good, so she wanted them to become friends. She put them into the same cage so that they could get along. She came back later, and the bear had killed the wolf. Because killing is wrong, she then punished the bear, but because she is overwhelmingly strong and not in full control over this strength, she killed the bear without meaning to, and cried about it because she knew that was not right. This Big Mom that we could see in the flashback when she was younger, it's not gone, guys. It's just kind of evolved into the worst possible mutation of the same thing. As we learned again in Whole Cake Island, Big Mom's dream was to create the paradise, Totland, and in general facilitate peace. She still wants to see everybody get along. The issue is that she has no actual ability to persuade people to do that, and it frustrates her. I think that Oda gave us a pretty decent transitional piece from when Big Mom was like 10 or 12 years old. At this point in her life, she was going to islands trying to tell them to stop fighting. I think that it was pretty clearly implied that this was something that she had tried to do many times, mostly unsuccessfully. She had only found one way in which she could really facilitate the peace that she desired, and that was to force people to get along, or then she would punish them. So going back to the Tea Party, when we got to see Big Mom screaming for several chapters in a row, she said on multiple occasions, "They just won't listen." What does this mean? And I believe that Oda made this pretty apparent. Big Mom wants people to listen to her ideology and get along. Because to Big Mom, fighting is bad. She doesn't want to have to hurt anybody. And so why I really feel like this is prudent to bring up is because I just don't think that Big Mom is a lost cause. Is what she's doing right now right? Absolutely not. Does she need to change? Absolutely yes. But unlike the vast majority of antagonists in the story, I don't think that the Strats have to defeat her to convince her to become the kind of person that she needs to be. To me, it's like Oda left a door open. Like I said, you sell one thing, but you leave another pathway, the plot twist, open. And this to me is an avenue for a plot twist, a subtle clue that there could be a very different Big Mom. But yeah, this isn't the only thing that Big Mom does is wrong. I think that there's some other things that are pretty easy to explain as well, that are slightly different. Like for instance, Big Mom's treatment of Lola and Jinbei, and to a lesser extent Chiffon. On the surface, it looks really, really bad to want your own daughter to be dead, and to essentially refuse to allow anybody, your own crew, or maybe even the citizens themselves, to leave Totland alive. But Oda did a great job of justifying why Big Mom feels this way while having this inherent nature that we discussed before. Big Mom at every point in her life has been abandoned. She's been abandoned by her original family, who left her in Elbaf. She became friends with the giants. She lived with the giants until they kicked her out, and they now hate her for reasons that she does not understand because she does not recall her own rages. And then later, the orphans and Mother Carmel, to her, seemingly one day disappeared, leaving her behind. And right now, she is currently fighting with the fact that they will never come back. She almost has to believe that they will, that Mother Carmel, the person that she loved more than anybody else, didn't also abandon her. Honestly, guys, Big Mom and Whole Cake Island to me was really tragic, especially when you realize that the island in which Big Mom was at when she apparently ate Mother Carmel and the orphans, that was Whole Cake Island. And Big Mom, to this day, is living there and hasn't left. She's waiting for them to return, because Stroizen told her that they would. And all the while, guys, and honestly, this breaks my heart just a little bit, remember that Big Mom almost inherited Carmel's dreams. Now, whether or not Carmel actually believed these things is questionable, but as she's waiting in Totland for Mother Carmel to return, she's trying to create what Carmel dreamt of, a paradise where all the races live together harmoniously. But being abandoned at every turn has corrupted Big Mom. It's pretty clear that she has it in her mind that what she stands for is what is good. She is the person who is going to bring peace and create the paradise. And those who stand with her are her friends and her allies. And those who do not are her enemies and are bad people. So when Lola or Jimbei or anybody else tries to leave Totland and essentially leave the Big Mom pirates to pursue their own interests, to Big Mom they then become her enemy. People who don't believe in the dream that she is trying to create. And maybe even further down inside, it hurts her. Perhaps Big Mom even thinks that because they are leaving, they don't like her. Big Mom is really interesting because it seems as though she acts on really simple premises. I want to create a paradise. I am good. Those who are with me are also good. Those who do not assist me in creating the paradise, you are bad. Those who fight are bad. I fight to stop others from fighting, therefore I am good. So we don't precisely know why Big Mom kills those who are invited to the tea party but don't show up, but it could very easily be a simple thought such as this. Friends would come to my tea party. If you claim to be my friend and don't show up, you aren't my friend, which makes you a liar. Those who aren't my friends stand against my dreams, therefore you should die. Because I fight to stop other people from fighting. And I always thought that it was interesting exactly who Big Mom invited to her tea party. All of the underworld emperors, known criminals, people who do awful things. It almost feels significant, like Big Mom chose these people so that she could befriend them and make the world a better place. Perhaps over the course of 70 years, Big Mom devised different tactics in order to convince people to stop being bad. Maybe this is something like an olive branch in Big Mom's own terms, like, I'm going to invite you to my tea party so that we can become friends, so that I can teach you to be better people. It's kind of absurd, actually, how similar the tea party is to Big Mom's 6th birthday, and in Big Mom's mind, that experience was so positive to her, so joyous, so happy, she sort of wants to spread that to people that she knows are not good people, to maybe change them. Or even with the plot to assassinate the Vinsmokes, you think to yourself, well, this is awful. Well, the Vinsmokes were known as, the terror of the North Blue. They're warmongers. They couldn't be any more against what Big Mom stands for, so maybe she felt justified in killing them for that reason. She was killing the bad guys, making the world a better place. But of course, the discussion doesn't stop here because Big Mom is complex in so many ways. Like, why does she abandon the fathers of her children? And of course, we don't know the answer for this, but you could speculate certain things, like Big Mom straight up does not trust anybody who is not her child, not related to her by blood, and not raised under her influence. Maybe inside she expects them to eventually betray her, or eventually abandon her. And this is why throughout the majority of her life she was so consumed with producing children, because she thinks that this is the one kind of person that she herself created that would love her and never abandon her. Maybe here Big Mom is projecting her own feelings and experiences, like Big Mom herself would never have abandoned any of her parents or the people who eventually adopted her. They were the ones to do so, but if Big Mom herself remains loyal, then this bond would remain unbroken. And this adds to sort of the drama surrounding Big Mom and her own family. It really makes you wonder just how bad it hurt her when Lola decided to leave and abandon her plans to create peace by, eventually having the giants at her side. And I think that you can see some of this anger in her treatment of Chiffon. She knew that she shouldn't hurt Chiffon, and she went out of her way to sort of avoid her so that Chiffon's appearance wouldn't make her angry. But the feelings are there. She can't help that it absolutely destroys her inside, but this is also creating a snowball effect where her treatment of Chiffon made Chiffon less loyal. She then teamed up with Capone in order to attempt to assassinate Big Mom, which gave her a legitimate reason to attack her own daughter. Because Chiffon has connections with the other Big Mom pirates, other children such as Pudding, which makes them less loyal. It's all spiraling. I think that it's fair to speculate that Big Mom's reality and what she holds to be true is all crashing down around her, possibly corrupting her even more than she has been already. Mix in with this the fact that Big Mom has hunger attacks, hunger illness, and when she goes crazy, she kills her own children, but she has no recollection of this. She has no control over herself, and it doesn't seem like anybody is explaining to her what she is doing. I'll go back to the example that I brought up repeatedly during Whole Cake Island. When Jinbei cured her initial rage, Jinbei never Big Mom asked what had occurred there, and Jinbei said he didn't know. I think this is a common practice for the Big Mom pirates and her own children. They don't tell Big Mom that she's the one to do it because they don't want to make her angry, because they're scared of her. They don't fully understand her, and they don't fully trust her to protect them. And this is something that has been common throughout Big Mom's life, because even going back to Mother Carmel, Mother Carmel never wanted to tell Big Mom that she was wrong or that she needed to change, because Mother Carmel, again, was scared of her. It's like the same thing was repeating over and over again. After Big Mom was essentially kicked out of Elbaf, she still doesn't understand why the giants hate her, because Mother Carmel and the orphans never told her what she did. She doesn't have all of the relevant information in order to fix herself. So it never makes any sense to her when people that she loves and she cares about eventually abandon her. Now, I'm not saying that everything that Big Mom is doing is right. I'm just saying that Oda has created this alternative pathway to facilitate a Big Mom that would get along with the Straw Hats and have similar objectives and ideals. I want to make this clear. Any of these speculations that I make or observations that I make about Big Mom's true nature or arguments for her being a little bit better than Oda has made her seem, it's not the plot device that will create the Straw Hat and Big Mom alliance. It's just the alternate reality that such a plot device could lean on for justification. If you're talking about the plot device itself, you'd be talking about the most recent chapter and Big Mom's sudden onset of amnesia. And even further than that, and probably more important, is her hunger attacks and her missing memories of the past. Depending on how Oda decides to take all of this, we could see a very, very different Big Mom in one way or another. How will Big Mom react to the knowledge that she kills her own children if she does not already know that, which I don't think that she does? How would Big Mom react to the fact that Mother Carmel is never going to return because Big Mom herself killed her? Even worse than that, she ate her. What is the underlying condition which causes Big Mom's rages? I've theorized in the past that I suspect that it has to do with the sweets that she has eaten. Specifically, she is chronically addicted to them. How would Big Mom react to learning that sweets themselves have caused her to do all of these things when she has essentially created the world around her to rely on sweets? If you really sit down and think about it, they are integral to Big Mom's idea of what a paradise would be. So by even suggesting that the sweets themselves could be bad, you could be destroying Big Mom's paradise. But the paradise in Big Mom's mind is simultaneously ruined if Big Mom has hunger attacks and kills her own children and the people that she is supposed to be protecting. If she accepts the rages to be true, if she believes it when eventually somebody tells her that they are occurring, how would Big Mom react? Or on the other side, will she immediately believe them at all? I mean, it's already pretty apparent that Big Mom has severe trust issues. The only people that she seems to fully outright trust are her children, but those bonds are being tested. Will soon Big Mom have no allies? Will she destroy herself? And you know, a very important piece of this, potentially, is the knowledge that Mother Carmel never stood for what Big Mom thought that she did. And Mother Carmel never loved Big Mom like she thought that she did. Mother Carmel was working with Cypherpole and wanted to sell Big Mom essentially to the Marines. I mean, the fact that this is in the story sort of suggests that this is information one day Big Mom might come to learn, and if the one person that she ever loved, her greatest mentor, the persons whose ideology shaped Big Mom's entire world, was also her enemy, Big Mom could learn that nobody is trustworthy. Nobody at all. Do you guys see the turning point that I feel as though Big Mom is sitting on right now? The two major directions in which she could go, and even as with most stories, there's all sorts of twists and turns. It could turn out that before Big Mom becomes an ally, they first have to deal with her essentially breaking and going through all of the issues I just discussed. Yes, Big Mom, bad things have happened to your life. People have betrayed you. People have wronged you. But despite everything that is going on, we understand you now, Big Mom, and we love you. Honest to God. Don't take it personally when we pursue our own interests because, Big Mom, we will come back. You are our mother. We will love you always, as long as you stay true to who you are and continue to pursue your own ideals, which we believe in. But you have to trust us and you have to have faith in us. But yeah, guys, I really just wanted to make this video as a general Big Mom discussion, a nice starting off point into many of the things that we are going to be talking about in the upcoming weeks, because they're obviously very relevant to the story and relevant to my thoughts of the story. Like, just as a teaser of some of the things that we could be speculating right now, and I may end up talking about it in its own video at some point in time, is if Big Mom has amnesia for an extended period of time, but she still holds the ideas and the ideals of herself when she was 5 years old, and as the Straw Hats and Chopper go around trying to save Wano from Kaido and from the Shogun, they are mistreated, Big Mom could really come to respect them, because they hold the same ideals as she does. They, in their own way, are helping to create the paradise that Big Mom is. And so if we assume that at some point Big Mom is going to regain her original memories, but also keep the ones that she has accumulated while essentially journeying across Wano, maybe with the Straw Hats themselves, how might that confuse her as to what it is that she really wants to do? Are the Straw Hats really her enemy? Maybe Luffy is the one that Big Mom, just like Katakuri, should be rooting for. But anyway, guys, again, I don't want to make this video an hour and a half. The main purpose of this video is to explain why I always thought that it was a possibility, maybe even likely, that Big Mom would become an ally regardless of what happened in the story. And I also wanted to paint the broad strokes of sort of the dual Big Moms that Oda has created and could switch to at any moment depending on where the story goes. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about some of the general discussion points that surround all of this that will become very, very important as the weeks go on. But yeah, you guys know the drill. Whenever I have any video that is ridiculously long, I'm just curious how many of you actually made it to the end. So if you did, feel free to comment in the comment section, hashtag amnesia hype. Just so that I know. You don't actually have to be hyped over the amnesia. But yeah, guys, as always, I'm curious as to what you think. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.